This is the Nasserman Hockey Podcast with James Nichols and John Zella.
Welcome back to the show. I'm John Zella, here always with James Nichols of the fourth period.
That's me.
How are you?
Better than you sound.
Better than, we're, all right, so full disclosure, if you didn't listen to the show and do the watch along with us on YouTube with Hockey Podcast Network, that reminds me of an old, I forget which comedian, maybe it was Jim Brewer or something, whose name has not aged well in 2021. He said that he met Jack Nicholson like in an elevator, and Jack Nicholson said, he's like, you know, you look how I feel right now. I think about that. Yeah, I thought you were about to say that. So yeah, full disclosure, we're coming off of a watch along with the Hockey Podcast Network. We just watched the entire game together and commenting on it so we've been on the air for 2.5 hours coming into this.
Regretfully.
Oh man, much to our chagrin, we've watched the entire thing. I would have turned it off. And I've really not done that in my life with this team. But lately it's been very hard to watch an entire hockey game, although they come back and this and that. Most of the time has not been worth it.
Yeah.
But before we get into the game we just watched together and get caught up with everything else going on, and we did this on the broadcast, but I have some different names for you, Jay, to kind of do a little 32 thoughts.
Rattle them off style. Give me 15 seconds on each of them because we have a little less time here than we do on the live show. So I'm just going to give you a name. Give me a couple, and you can include this last game. So some recency bias there for sure. Sure.
Anthony Beauvillier
Looked better tonight as far as engagement. Lacked finish. A couple opportunities for him to convert what he started. Right, there were a couple plays on the forecheck where he forced a turnover. A couple plays in the back check where he forced a turnover.
Definitely.
And he could have created it into a breakout. Didn't. Two, could have created a turnover in the offensive end into a scoring opportunity. Didn't. There was one play where he had a wide open net on a bad angle and shot the puck through the crease. So he looked more engaged. He lacked finish.
Zdeno Chara.
Uninterested. Slow. Old. Can I stop there?
You can stop there. You let me know. We can keep these as short as possible. I just want to go through these players. I think this is a good exercise for us.
Listen, I gave Chara a pretty hefty leash. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. Plenty of excuses for the Islanders as a whole this year that contribute to also individual success. At this point now, most of the team is back and healthy. It sucks that they didn't have Barzal tonight against the Red Wings. It sucks that they're still missing Ryan Pulock. Zdeno Chara is no longer a viable option on the blue line, and they need to do something about it.
Yeah, not a lot of defense there.
No.
No pun intended. Kieffer Bellows.
I tweeted this out earlier. I said, for those of you who said Kieffer Bellows will not ever be and is not currently an NHLer, he looks really good tonight. Actually, I said he looks great tonight. I'm not even going to front. He looked great tonight. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, he's the next coming of Connor McDavid, because he's not. But, he doesn't look like the player that everyone claims that he was. He's a career AHLer. He doesn't belong in the NHL. No, he was keeping pace. He was making good plays. He was responsible in his own end. He was creating opportunities in the offensive zone. So I really liked what I saw from him. If he gets more minutes, this was his 11th game. 11th game. He's got 1 goal, 4 assists in 11 games. If he gets more minutes, if he gets more opportunities, I could see him becoming a regular on this team. And that's only a great thing for the Islanders. If he's not scoring, give the kid a chance. He hasn't seen a regular NHL season yet. He's technically, I don't think he's a rookie anymore, but he could be considered a rookie. So give the kid a shot. He looked really good tonight. I said great, and I'll stick with it. He looked great tonight, and if he can play like that more often, the chances will come. The scoring will come.
You're getting a lot of pushback on Twitter with that. To the surprise of absolutely no one.
I don't care.
No, that's also mostly fair.
Listen, everybody's frustrated. Everybody's angry. Everybody wants answers. Everybody wants moves. Everyone wants someone fired or someone traded, and that's going to be hysterical fans. It's just the truth. Fans will be hysterical. The big boys will take care of business, and if you're upset about that not happening yet, listen. That's fair. It didn't happen yet. You're upset about it. That's fair. On the other side of things, it's also fair to say this is a business. It takes two to tango, and you don't want to oversell your assets.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself. Last one, and the lightning rod of all lightning rods, Josh Bailey.
Uninterested. He was missing for a majority of the game, and in those instances he was not converting. He wasn't making smart plays. He wasn't making the right plays. At this point in his career, look, do you just sell him off because he's a terrible player? Maybe not. Maybe he's another team wants him, and if you can get something for him, great. I'm not sitting here advocating for him to be traded. I'm just advocating for him to be demoted. He shouldn't be on the first line. I don't think he was tonight.
No, he was a Beauvillier Nelson.
Okay, so and that's the killer bees line that we've seen work for the past 3 seasons. They didn't really have that magic tonight. Nelson's coming off an injury. He's trying to get his feet back under him. Beauvillier's confidence is shaken. He had a good game, not a great game, and he's trying to figure out who he is still. And Josh Bailey, who's been mostly a ghost this season, didn't help that line as a whole. He probably needs to play with somebody more assertive, maybe like a JG Pageau. I don't think it's with Barzal. Listen, Barzal's assertive, but I don't think that's the answer for that line. So somebody like JG Pageau who can literally do everything, and maybe a Kieffer Bellows who can score, and you have Josh Bailey feeding a guy like him, maybe that works. But he needs to be shot down the depth chart.
Yeah, Bellows seems to need. And that was a good wrap up, by the way. That's we can wrap up that part of the segment there. I do really enjoy that, so we're gonna try to do that moving forward.
That's fun.
I think Bellows needs to play with players a little more energy because he's the one that's a little more methodical. I don't know that playing with another methodical player is the way to go. Seems like playing with Pageau or Parise down the middle and Wahlstrom works for him. He has somebody to pass the puck to down the middle or over to Wahlstrom, and they seem to be connecting fairly well. Bellows seems to be more one-dimensional in so much as shooting the puck, where Wahlstrom can at least has that vision to pass it and kind of make those plays. So they're not exactly, they can complement each other, in other words, and they've kind of been doing that. We'll try to keep this part of it short as well. Red Wings game, big loss, and at a really tough time. To set the stage here, some more COVID concerns, Barzal and protocols. Early on Tuesday, does not take the pregame skate into practice. Quick note on that is no Islanders player has needed less than 10 days in quarantine so far, save for Beauvillier, who had a false positive.
Yeah, so Barzal will be staying in Detroit, per Andrew Gross.
And this is a really tough stretch to go without Barzal. We'll go into more about that in a little bit. Some of the implications of the most recent loss. Before we do, quick, we watched the games together. It's a little bit of a blur, just because we were on the broadcast and not necessarily taking notes the entire time as we maybe normally would. Quick synopsis. I can give my 2 points right afterwards. Go for it.
It was a game in which the Islanders could not get settled. And what I mean by that was it was just constant, okay, turn the puck over in the defensive zone, force a turnover in the defensive zone, skate the puck to the offensive zone, chip it in, lose a puck battle, and repeat, rinse and recycle. There was no, I want to see the time on ice, the puck possession time on ice, because it feels like it was 55 minutes Detroit, 5 minutes Islanders. There was zero offensive cycling of the puck until the last 2 minutes where they pulled the goaltender, and yet again Noah Dobson steps up, shot from the point, Andrews redirects it, and the puck goes in. I'm not sure where. I mean, listen, I get it. There was an extra skater on the ice, but why are we not trying that more? Why is Noah Dobson not ripping more shots from the blue line
They're
to
not
get
setting
scoring
up.
chances? They're not
Yeah.
setting up. That's the answer.
Yeah, and they haven't really had that opportunity until they started putting out kind of fuller lines, like more capable lines altogether, which may speak to a depth issue. And certainly without Barzal in the lineup, he's definitely noticeable in this particular game. But I agree on the entire thing. They looked sloppy, a little uninterested, a lot of bad little plays,
Yeah.
especially near the end of the game with Bailey's puck and skates and this and that. Beauvillier, you said he wasn't in good position. I argued on the broadcast that he put himself in bad position. He didn't need to be behind the net and try to reach in front to score that goal, only to miss it wide. He needed to put himself in better position to score that goal. A lot of pucks right through the crease. Even Sorokin on that first goal, I don't think he was challenging enough there, and it got him right near the blocker. I think he should have been out a little bit more. Some of that might have been he didn't trust anyone to get to. I believe it was Bertuzzi in front, to make sure there wasn't a backdoor play there. So he was kind of playing for that, but then that kind of left a little bit of extra room there. As an athletic goalie, he's moving around a lot. Some holes open up here and there when you do realize that a shot is coming towards the net.
Yeah,
that's tough too. Chara, another tough game. Yeah, can't seem to not fumble the puck. Wherever he gets it on the ice, he looks uncomfortable out there. And if you haven't been paying attention, imagine pulling spaghetti out of a strainer and then trying to make it play hockey. It's not gonna be great. It looks just like big wet noodles trying to stick handle. Which, as far as I know, isn't a great attribute for a defender.
Good quote here by Trotz on Beauvillier. I don't know if he's picked up anything, but I liked his desperation. I thought he was more noticeable tonight than he's been in quite some time. He has to have an impact night in and night out. That's expected, which goes for a number of players on this team, right? Some desperate play, some decent play, but nothing that's over the top and going to win you games. And that's just basically been the mantra of this season. Everybody's been okay, not great, not showing up in the big moments, and then ultimately losing the game.
Yeah. It's it's not great right now. This is kind of the time where the Islanders needed to turn it around. This was kind of a big week for them, with or without Barzal. So it's disappointing to lose to a team like this for the second time in the month, who are ahead of you in the standings. When you had games in hand, and this kind of eliminates that little bit of an opportunity there to kind of capitalize. So it's difficult, and it's good that Trotz said that about Beauvillier and had some good comments that I'm seeing on Twitter as we kind of watch this in live time about the second line, because going into this game on Sunday and Monday, a little bit of a cold shoulder from head coach Barry Trotz towards Beauvillier. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so basically Trotz had said after benching Anthony Beauvillier that they didn't even talk about it. He went on to say, I plan to talk about it, before we get to Detroit with him, but we haven't spoken about it. And maybe not saying anything says enough. You did see, like Trotz said, more desperation out of him tonight. He was more noticeable than ever this season. But again, a guy like Beauvillier is expected to make an impact every single night. And when he's not, look, nobody is right now, but he's one of the guys. He's one of your top guys. He's supposed to be one of your top guys. We've been waiting. I think you said this on our live stream earlier, year after year after year with the headlines. Is this the breakout season for Anthony Beauvillier? And
just Google Anthony Beauvillier breakout season, and you'll see articles in the last 3 years. This is the year he needs to step up, from everybody, from the blogs to the big sites to even the bigger sites. Everyone's saying it. I've said it. James has said it. The New York Times has said it. The New York Post has said it. Everyone's saying it. The Athletic. This is the time.
Yeah.
And do I have sources? Google.
Do you have sources?
Just
Can
Google.
you prove them?
We need to stop that shit right away. The everyone is just so like
Angry.
and
Everyone's
angry,
angry.
and we touched on this before. When I say before, we're just talking about the live stream. I don't feel like saying that word over and over. We talked about it before that everyone just frustrated our ability to like kind of move on from the past has been really hard. It's only been 3 seasons, and abbreviated campaigns and yada yada yada. We're not really that removed. Yes, they've come a long way, but they really need to keep earning our trust. And it's seasons like this, and it's games like this in particular that if I was in a coma and woke up from 2016 to now, I would think it's the same team with different players. That they never were good. This is a very reminiscent of just a few years ago,
Right.
and not the good seasons, right? Like, so it's very frustrating. We're all kind of in this moment where we're jumping down each other's throats, calling people out, especially like on the on our side of things. It's a little hard to swallow. We're kind of all on the same side here, and if things were going better, I don't think we're doing this. So, as I said at the beginning of the season, be nice to each other. That's pretty much it. Anyway, some big news kind of going into this game was Sorokin getting the lion's share of the starts kind of here on out, it seems, unless something drastic changes. He does get 37 saves tonight out of 39, I believe. Yep, 37 saves out of 39, which is another good game. We mentioned before, killer save percentage continues that. His goals against will help here too. It's clearly not his fault, and it seems like Sorokin's going to be the number one here. What did Trotz say about that?
Yeah, he said, you might have to get used to the idea, or you should get used to the idea that for every 3 games Sorokin plays, Varlamov will get one. So it's looking less like a 1A, 1B, and more like a 1 and a 2. So listen, the passing of the torch was going to happen at some time. Maybe it's a little earlier than we all expected, but that, if anything, this season, that's good news. Sorokin is exactly what we thought he was going to be, more than we thought he was going to be. Already being spoken about as a shoo-in for the All-Star game this year. His save percentage, even though the Islanders give up too many goals, is still something like .925, which is pretty incredible for what the Islanders are doing this season.
That's something just to point out there because I was trying to look it up earlier. I think the team's save percentage is under .910, which speaks to
Right.
two things: how
He's
much
lifting it up.
he's lifting
It could
it up,
be
and
way worse.
but Varlamov is woof.
Yeah.
And even Sorokin's bad games are like bringing it down quite a bit. So it's the difficult situation on for the Islanders to kind of have that. What do you kind of going off of that a little bit? What does that mean for Varlamov? We spoke a little bit about that during the broadcast. What do you think about that as far as in terms of Varlamov? What do you think moving forward?
As far as like what his save percentage looks like and stuff?
Sorry, like just him as I kind of fumbled over my words there.
It's okay.
With Sorokin becoming the number one,
Yeah.
and playing better, Varlamov's not playing well, the team's not playing well. What position is Varlamov in at this point as far as the team is concerned and his place on this roster?
I said this earlier too. I think it's okay. I think Varlamov knew at some point this was going to happen. I think that's why Sorokin came over. I don't think he's upset about it.
But that's supposed to be 2 years from now.
Listen,
Varlamov still has years left on his contract.
I wouldn't say 2. I think it was known that it was possible at least next season. It came a little earlier than expected.
Is it him though? I'm sorry, we're jumping around, not answering the question.
Let me get there. So you said, is it him? It's not him. The team's playing bad in front of him. They're not doing him any favors. There is also a point where there have been a couple instances this season where he could have made a game-saving save, and he didn't do that either. So, listen, is it his fault? No. Is he helping? No. Now, I'll say this. Past few seasons, Varlamov has been injured here and there. He might do better with more rest. He could use it, stay healthy, have 2 viable goaltenders long term. On the other hand, Ilya Sorokin has repeatedly said, I like a heavy workload. I like being busy, not just in the game, but game to game. I will stop 45 out of 50. 48 out of 50 shots. I'm good with that. I like that. I will play 4 games in a row. I'm good with that. I like that. So I think it works out for both of them. It's
What
a
does
good
it mean?
situation for both of them.
We both had kind of along the same thought lines during the broadcast about what does it mean for Varlamov as far as a trade chip. So they're definitely like it's on a 30,000-foot level. It seems obvious there are teams that could use somebody like Varlamov. But what are some of the issues with that? For the Islanders, on a number of different levels, I think there are. But I wanted to get your thoughts on it first.
Right. So, right now, are we talking if we trade him right now or in the offseason?
Now, like again, people are saying, look, there are teams like Colorado that need a goaltender. They know Varlamov. He has played really well. I think some of the issues with that are he's not playing very well. So what kind of trade chip is that? You're just unloading a contract
Right.
at that point and not look. It's not like you're unloading it and bringing somebody in.
Yeah. I mean, listen, that could be true. I also think that, people understand that he didn't just forget how to play in the net, So one of the things is they look at Varlamov and they say, okay, he's been coached by Pierre Greco and Mitch Korn the past few seasons. That is appealing in itself. So maybe they want to take a shot at him. Maybe a change of scenery will do him good. I'm not sitting here vying for them to trade him. But if they were, that would be the mentality of other teams. That's why he might be attractive. But if you do trade him now from the Islander standpoint, right? We hope that Ilya Sorokin doesn't get injured. Better yet, we hope that Ilya Sorokin doesn't catch this COVID bug that's going around pretty heavily throughout the NHL right now.
Well, even back-to-back games, like he can't play the rest of the season.
Exactly, because
who can even play? Like it's an expensive backup,
right?
But I don't see. There's no viable option in the system where the Islanders can trust them. If Varlamov's not playing well behind this team, and Sorokin has to stand on his head, you can't bring up somebody else just out of nowhere and throw them in there. They're not gonna.
Right.
If you're just content on this season is kind of over, sure. I mean, if Varlamov is truly an asset, get what you can.
Right.
You're throwing a lot in the Sorokin basket. You still need to address the goaltending in the offseason. At least Varlamov has 2 more years left on his contract. And even if his role diminished over time, it was a solid backup. The cap hopefully goes back up and it becomes less of a percentage of the cap. You can live with him being an expensive backup if they can both continue to play well. The issue is he's not. I wonder how much of an asset he really is as far as a trade chip is concerned. Are the Avalanche desperate enough to get a goaltender? I'm not big on where they are, although I've watched a number of their games as of late, and God, I love the way that they play. It's so quick. Watching McKinnon play is just so much fun. But you wonder what kind of appetite they really have for that as far as giving up assets to make it happen.
If Varlamov was going to be moved in season, it would have happened actually 2 days ago. As you're hearing this 2 days ago, due to the fact that Anton Khudobin went on waivers, the Islanders don't have a viable backup for Ilya Sorokin after Varlamov. Corey Schneider did not play the first 9 games of the season that he was with the Islanders until Varlamov came back. So that's not going to happen. So, if he was going to move, you would have saw Khudobin get claimed, be the backup to Sorokin, and Varlamov traded off. But that didn't happen. And there's not going to be another option like that. I don't see another goaltender like Anton Khudobin going unclaimed on waivers.
Yeah, that's definitely it's definitely a good point. And I'm looking up he's got only a year left after this. He hasn't been playing particularly well this season. I don't know. It's actually worse through 7 games, I think, than
Dallas hasn't been great either.
Than Varlamov.
They've been good, not great.
Yeah, I mean better than might be I think it's better than the Islanders at this point. Considerably better than the Islanders at this point. At least they're above 500 playing really well at home actually. And in their last 10 they're 7-3-0, although they've lost the last 3 games. It's tough, and like you said, if it was going to happen, maybe it already did. And who knows to where the season goes at this point. It's like, all right, it doesn't matter. You give Skarek some time behind Sorokin. If the season doesn't matter, at least you get him, get him some time. Maybe you see what you really like out of him. I don't know that the Islanders are quite at that point. Part of me is with you, as you've mentioned a couple times before, where they're just 20 games into the season. My perspective is a little, on the more pessimistic side there. They're 20 games in the season. I think what we're seeing is what we're getting. Your point where teams have turned it around in less time is definitely there. This team definitely has potential. I don't really know when or if they'll actually hit it. It seems like COVID is just going to be a part of our lives, as Trotz said in his post game after this Red Wings game. The Islanders might not ever have their full roster together this season. It might just be, whether it was Varlamov or this thing or that thing. Yep. It might just be one of those seasons where it's completely out of their control. Now, there's the saving grace here is if they can keep their head above water in some of these games that they have in hand on the rest of the division and the conference, and they can recover during the Olympic break, whether that means that the players are going to the Olympics or not, which is remaining a problem, and up in the air. If the Islanders can do that, they kind of can come out of that break and make a real run at it.
Yeah.
There is an opportunity there. I think that's really late. You hope that I don't remember exactly when the trade deadline is, but if they don't go to the Olympics, but there's still a break there, there's at least the All-Star break. You wonder if the trade deadline moves up a little bit. Who knows? But that would require that.
You got it.
Would, yeah, right. Jeez, we've definitely been speaking for a few minutes here. That would require them to keep their head above water.
Yeah,
and I don't at this point, as a result of even just tonight, and then looking ahead to Thursday, it's not looking good. Like, I think that's kind of the problem. So the outlook and the expectations are kind of dwindling here, and that's just really tough. So yeah, I'm not really sure what else there is to say particularly about that. We're gonna step out for a brief second and catch our breath here. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by DraftKings. Football fans, I'm sure we all love an action-packed, high-scoring NFL game. But with the latest no-brainer from DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, you'll be a winner once a single point is scored. New customers who bet just $1 on any team to score can win $100 in free bets. It's that simple. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still get in on the NFL action. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings daily fantasy sports contests. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now, use promo code THPN, bet $1 on any team to score, and win $100 in free bets. If they score, you score with the promo code THPN this week at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 years or older, New Jersey, Indiana, Pennsylvania only. New customers only, minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. One per customer, restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. This episode is also brought to you by Manscaped. Ho ho ho, ladies and gentlemen. The holidays came early here at Manscaped, the leading men's hygiene brand. Manscaped just launched new products including their all-new Ultra Premium Body Wash and 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. It's time to give yourself, or someone who needs it, the gift of beautiful hair, skin, and balls this holiday season. Go to manscaped.com and use code NHP20 for 20% off and free shipping. It's time to leave your significant other some cookies and milk at the bottom of your chimney. I'm talking about the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. Inside the Performance Package 4.0, you'll find the Signature Lawnmower 4.0. This electric trimmer has proprietary, advanced skin-safe technology to reduce cuts on your nuts. It's also waterproof so you can use it in the shower. It's like a gift to your partner with less mess. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Crop Preserver and Crop Reviver, an anti-chafing ball deodorant, moisturizer, and toner.
It's time to keep your North Pole feeling and smelling fresh. 'Tis the season to load up on Manscaped products, so get yourself, your dad, your brother, and friends the best gift of all, the Manscaped Performance Package 4.0. Get 20% off and free shipping with code NHP20 at manscaped.com. Every guy out there needs to add Manscaped to their wish list this season. Once again, get 20% off and free shipping with code NHP20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code NHP20. Make Santa proud and shop Manscaped this year.
God, those ads keep getting better and better
Every
single time.
every week.
The cookies and milk under the North Pole thing is just gold. Just gold. So I want to just throw this out there just because it's something that I saw during our break here. The Nets beat who do they play tonight? I just lost they just played the Raptors. They won a 131 to 129. Real high scoring game. They were down 7 players from their normal lineup because of COVID.
Wow.
Sound familiar?
Yeah, it does.
So it's not impossible for the team to kind of get through it. Just this team couldn't. And
how many
COVID
45-year-olds are on the Nets?
Yeah. Well, that's a different problem. They chose this life. I mean, that's it, right? Like, what else can you say? The issue is that the COVID concerns are kind of rampant right now. Calgary got shut down across all leagues, but in the NHL in particular, some more postponements, really raising some eyebrows as far as the Islanders were concerned because the league just waited so long to shut the team down. It just put them in a really bad position, and then they didn't have the time to recover. So it wasn't just bad enough that more and more players got it. The team played through it, and then you're having players try to work their way back into the lineup. Save for Nelson and Pulak, obviously, that were out for injuries. It just made it their battle. And then again, Barzal also being kind of falling victim to that. Hopefully he can recover quickly and fully so that he's kind of back in the lineup without any issues because the team goes as he does. As much as we want to think it is by committee, and I know I even said that on the broadcast, it's really hard to watch this team without him. It looks very dull. It's not very fun. Even less fun than normal when they're losing. At least there's bright spots. So there was just kind of not a whole lot in this game. And I think the tweets going on right now are all about this team not being able to score. Andrew Gross said there's a force field in the crease, apparently not allowing the Islanders to score. And it sure as hell feels like it. We mentioned Beauvillier kind of having that wide open net. A lot of opportunities, a lot of 3-on-1s in this game. What are your thoughts on what do the Islanders need to do? Is it simple fixes? Is it small things, which I think Trotz would kind of throw our way if we asked him that question? What do you think? What's ailing the team? Like, is it a big problem? Is it small things? Combination? What's going on?
It's a combination, and I guess the best way to at least start, you got to start somewhere, and it should be the little fixes that hopefully you hope turn into big fixes. Meaning, just win a puck battle. Chip the puck into the offensive zone, win a puck battle, settle that puck, and rotate it. You'd be surprised how one regular rotation could just throw a defender off. Someone on the other side of the ice could make a mistake for once, and you find a lane and you score. But that didn't happen once, and that was when they had an extra player on the ice at the end of the game, and they finally scored. But you see what happens when you rotate the puck. Again, I get it. Extra player at the end of the ice. But, these things happen.
Was it a big... All right, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was saying, was there a huge difference between this game and the game of the Devils that you saw? Granted,
Yes.
The Devils had their own problems.
Yes. I mean, look, the Devils did have their own problems, but they were skating the puck. The Islanders were skating the puck with confidence. Crisp passes, quick decision-making, winning puck battles. They looked a lot more like the team that we know, curating that defense, turning it into offense. That did not happen this game.
Is it, I think to players like Anthony Beauvillier who, when they're going, it seems like the team is doing well. But even like Cizikas, he was pretty invisible this game. Granted, we couldn't hear his name, so we can't say that we didn't hear him because we had our volume off because we were speaking to each other. But I didn't really notice him out there. Nelson either. I did notice Peugeot a bunch during this game, but I think it's the players like Cizikas, Beauvillier, Barzell when he's in the lineup. There's a couple players that when they play with energy, you really notice them out there. They're less Barzell, but even Beauvillier throws his body around. Obviously, Cizikas is out there doing that. I didn't really notice the fourth line out there at all. I would say I saw them, but there was nothing noticeable. There wasn't a lot of energy, and I think when I think about this team, and we talked about this for a long time about when this team in its current iteration, players, coaches, management kind of aside, but like the team's identity was forged. You could really argue back in 2013, and it was that tenacity, it was that energy that made this team different, right? They really needed somebody to come in like Trotz and hone it, and Lou to kind of stabilize things, and then an arena and so on and so forth. But the on the ice product, it really was just that tenacity and that energy that separated them from other teams, especially when they got to the playoffs. That 2013 series, they really scared the shit out of the Penguins.
Yeah.
The last two seasons against the Lightning, that was really the same thing. Now it's deeper into the playoffs. It's way more meaningful, right? But it's still along the same lines. And that's what I feel is the major piece missing with this team at the moment, right? It's the scoring chances and the little things and fucking up a 3-on-1 and blind passes across the other team's blue line and not being able to wrangle pucks in your own end and fumble fucking your way behind your own net, whatever thing, right? But it's even like, it's not like they're messing up because like, wow, their feet are way too quick for their hands or vice versa. Or they're overplaying. Like they're just dead. It seems like there's no heartbeat on this offense and on this team. There's no bite to their game where there used to be a lot. The identity of the team is not there.
Yeah.
That was probably the shorter way for me to say that. The thing that made this team a thing, not just the identity line, but including that, is no longer there. This team no longer knows who it is. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. It's so tough, man. It really is because you wanna think they didn't forget who they are, right? They know how to do this. It's not like they just forgot how to do it from last season. I don't want to say they don't know how to do it. I want to say that they're missing a few key pieces to be able to do it. And maybe that's it. Other issues come to play where, they lose guys to COVID protocol and they lose guys to injury. But, you like to say all the time, you can't be down one or two guys and the whole machine doesn't work. And that's true. It's tough to play that way. So they're missing some key pieces to their lineup. Now, maybe that means that they need to give other key pieces or could be key pieces more opportunity. I look at a guy like we spoke about before in Kieffer Bellows who had a good game. His Corsi 4% was at a 61-11, which is one of the better skaters on the Islanders this game. He looked really good. Maybe give him more minutes. Instead, he had the least amount of minutes tonight with 9 minutes and 11 seconds, 28 seconds. I get it. He's one of the younger guys, but if Josh Bailey's not doing it, then why not? Try it out. See what happens. So, it was good to see at least, Wahlstrom got more minutes. He played 15 minutes tonight, and that's good because he definitely deserved it, especially after the last game. He played real well, and even Trotz was like, yeah, he's forcing my hand a little bit. 65% Corsi 4 tonight. Another guy who, a 15-minute game, 68% Corsi 4. Robin Salo looked pretty good tonight.
He did. I liked his. I didn't see him skate all that well. Not to say that I saw him skate poorly, but he moved the puck well.
Right.
It was nice to see an Islander in uniform number 2 find the way to get the puck out of the zone. Something
Right.
as we're playing Nick Leddy is a nice sign.
Right. So, you know, a lot of fans and a lot of, like we saw with Kevin Kerr's, other teams think this team is a little old and a little slow. Well, maybe it's time for an injection of youth. And, Noah Dobson's taken that opportunity and running with it. He played 18 minutes tonight. I think the only player that played more than him looks to be Adam Pelech. So that's good to see. Oliver Wahlstrom got the extra time tonight that he deserved. Hopefully he gets more and that continues. But a guy like Kieffer Bellows, a guy like Robin Salo, give them the chance.
Yeah.
For the longest time, everybody said Kieffer Bellows not going to be an NHLer. He just doesn't have it. Well, maybe he just didn't have the chance, and maybe now he if he's going to get it, he's starting to. If they're going to give it to him, give it to him.
Do you think it's time to kind of do that and retool from within? Or you kind of shared with me a little bit of what you were talking about with Dave Pagnotta from the fourth period.
Mm.
What do you think based on your conversation with him? Did they try to does this move the needle for them? Did they try to make some moves? Or is there really not any hope for that?
No one's going to do him any favors, so it's not like it's going to come cheap. And given the situation league wide right now, where everybody's losing players due to the COVID protocols, who's moving players right now? So it might be too complicated to do at this moment. And if it doesn't happen sooner rather than later, then you might have to retool from within. That might mean they lose out the rest of the season, but you trot Bellows and Wahlstrom out on the first line with Barzal. You give them that experience.
Yeah, I wonder what that looks like in not being so intentional, or at least outwardly intentional about what's happening with your team. Like you still do want your top players to be playing with your top players. You don't just start line blending, or maybe you do. Like I don't really know where that line is as far as the lineup is concerned. In who do you try with who? Because you make it really obvious. The team isn't going to perform well.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're not going to, it's not going to feel good to Barzal and Lee having Bellows play with him on a regular basis, kind of knowing where the season's at. I suppose it doesn't really matter who they're playing with at that point if it doesn't feel like that they can make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And at this point, it seems like it's a mountain a little too, from where I sit anyway, considering Barzal's out for the next little bit, considering they lost again tonight. That loss to Nashville was a gut punch. The game before the New Jersey Devils, that falls within kind of the week between the shows here. It's not looking good. They've shown glimpses of kind of that they remember who they are, but as we just said, they're kind of losing that a little bit, and they don't really have. They're not showing that they have the ability to get out of it. So I really don't know what it looks like. I question whether to give up assets to kind of do anything at this point in the season. Is it too late? Is it too early? Drager from TSN said, "Yeah, Lou's always on the phones." I don't really know what that means. It's tough to say.
Yeah.
So I'm not really sure where I stand on that. What do you think? I know we kind of talked about it on the broadcast, but we can reiterate a little bit.
As far as younger guys getting time?
About all right, so I mean, there's kind of two ways you can do it. Younger players getting time, and it is what it is, and players walk at the end of the season, we kind of figure out in the off season, or do you try to salvage something here? Because when push comes to shove, even when Barzal comes back, who are you sitting for Bellows? I think Parise stays in the lineup. Now that Nelson is back, I think that goes back to normal. I think they try to get the entire forward group back together before they start trying to get out Bellows with anybody else in that lineup. Right? I don't think he's done anything more necessarily or offers more in the lineup than Parise. So that's kind of tough. Certainly not more unless you're going to sit Bailey, which based on Trotz's comments in the media availability after the Detroit game, it doesn't seem like that's very likely to say that, oh, I put this line back together. I'm expecting them to do more in the future. That doesn't scream Bailey's sitting for Bellows once Barzal comes back. Now, granted, that's 10 games, 10 days and 5 games from now. So maybe it's just until then, but
look, even if they're not going to bench these guys, give them less minutes, give the kids more minutes. Put Bellows, Wahlstrom, and Noah Dobson in the top echelon of minutes every game, and
you can't at least put Bellows on the power play where Bailey would be.
Right.
Give him a shot, like,
because you have
if you're going to lose the game anyway, or not even, because I don't want to put him in these positions where it doesn't matter. I want them to be in pressure situations. This is supposed to be a team that knows this already.
Yeah, look.
So I want them to play meaningful minutes on the power play or late in the game or whatever. I don't want them to play just bullshit. Oh, we're down 5-1. Yeah, throw Bellows on the power play now.
Right. It's important. That's why I'm saying, you're not going to make a move right now unless you're feeding another team a desperation offer, right? No one's helping.
Chances are, or at least in my opinion, that's going to be for a defenseman before a forward.
Agreed.
That was my opinion in the offseason. It just never fucking happened.
So no one's going to help you out right now. Arizona's done you enough favors. Number two, if you're not going to be able to retool from outside, you got to retool from within, and that looks like putting the younger guys in the top echelon of minutes, putting the older guys in the bottom echelon of minutes, just because of the pure fact that you look at Parise, Bailey, and Palmieri for the whole season, they combined 3 goals. 3 players, 3 goals, one apiece. And look,
that's such a tough look.
It's very tough.
Put your faith in these vets, like something.
Right. And I was banging on the Parise drum. He's working real hard.
That's not his role.
The dam's got a break. He's the analytics look real good. Look, it was true. And I said to you before, I think if there was an advanced analytic for finish, it would be called goals. And they don't have that right now. They don't have that at all. So look, it's not happening.
And look, and just because the two of us are not advanced analytics gurus, we are going to bring on somebody in the next few weeks to help us walk through this, because it is a concern, right?
Yeah.
There's, we say lucky to be good and all that kind of crap, but I think there's a certain point where the team is just not playing well. I said this on the broadcast. I was very unapologetically angry at this team during the broadcast, and I'll bring a little bit of that here. The team just sucks right now.
Yeah.
Beauvillier is playing like shit. We don't even have to talk about Chara. Palmieri was unnoticeable in this game. Nelson's working his way back from injury, but he was invisible. Bailey's obviously playing like shit. Peugeot had some chances, and again, I don't know that it's his role necessarily, although he has had, when he is scoring goals, it is a huge help on this team. Especially when the rest of the team just, isn't scoring. So I'm aggravated at just watching them play like shit, because tonight wasn't unlucky. It was poor positioning. It was bad decisions. And that's different than the analytics, right? I think like expected goals is because of high danger chances and shots for all that kind of stuff. The issue is that when you keep missing the net, something else we had to mention throughout the game tonight, you're just missing the net.
Yeah.
That's not anything. That's not luck. That's not anything. That's you suck. Eventually, that just is what it is. You can't, there's no other way to put it. And that's where it gets frustrating. You can look at and that, I think that's part of the divide, right? The eye test is telling me they suck. Yeah, eventually it'll go in, but like eventually when? Next season? Right. You can go an entire season up, and players do this all the time, and they look at this in the analytics. Yep, he had an entire year of down shooting percentage. The next year he bounces back. The issue is players like Palmieri have been on a downward trajectory of shooting percentage. Yeah, he showed it in the playoffs. We all thought he could continue that on this team. We all thought that.
Right.
Everybody
I think
had that thought. So the thing is, when you look at a player like Beauvillier right now, it's not unlucky. I want us to erase that from our vocabulary. He's playing like shit and he sucks right now. Doesn't mean he sucks as he's not a bad player. He sucks right now. He as a player is not playing well. That side of the net bullshit, these passes, that's not bad luck. That's playing like dog shit.
I think one of the things that we could agree on too is that, like you said, we all thought that this was going to work.
100%.
I can go back to when the Parise deal happened and the Palmieri deals happened. Everybody was like, "Yes, this is great. This is great." How quick we forget how excited we were. Even for Chara, everybody was beaming.
Well, the storyline and the narrative around it
doesn't matter.
Overtook the fact that maybe he wasn't that great last season, but you also didn't think for a second that he'd be in the lineup every single night. I certainly did not. And I know we have proof on this show. I can't speak for everybody else, but I was like, there's no way he's in the lineup every night.
Yeah, I had a bad feeling it was going to be that way.
Yes, you definitely did say that. Boy, was I mistaken. And the confusion continues. Look, I don't think Trotz needs to get fired. That doesn't mean I can't question what he's doing or what he's not doing for that matter. He doesn't have a lot of options at his disposal, but like, isn't Aho still around?
He's around.
You don't need to play him. You don't need to you don't need to play Char. You need to play Aho.
Right. The thing is here, and again, I keep saying this, but it's true. Look, you're right. You can question him. Doesn't mean he has to get fired. The thing is, he's going through his motions right now. He's trying to figure this out. This is new to him. It's only 24 games into the season, and he's never been on a losing drought the way he's been now. It's new. He's trying to figure it out. He's had 3 years.
You kind of hope that he knows a little bit.
It's frustrating right now. I get it's frustrating as hell. I do. It's frustrating for me as a journalist to watch and have to write about this crap.
Yeah,
but it is what it is right now. It doesn't mean he has to get fired. You have to give him a chance to figure it out.
Right. I think there needs to be a balance too of, we can harp on the guy. It is really hard because he wasn't around before. You can't project our feelings from years and years of just like neglect and shit from the Islanders onto him. However, we can't help that. Like here we are as
we can't,
fans.
but we can.
We shouldn't, but we will.
There it is.
It's really hard. I mean, and Lou falls in this too. Yes, they've done a lot of good, but like they haven't really built up that. Like, I'm not satisfied if the Islanders just don't make the playoffs in the next 5 years. I'm not gonna be like, well, that one time they made it to Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Final, like within one goal. I'm not just gonna live on that forever.
Remember?
I remember. No, I'm not gonna do that. It's not like because we could have how long? Oh, Jesus Christ! How long did we talk about the Bates goal? That was like the only fucking thing, or the Wade Dubowitz poke check. That was like all we had for fucking 20 years. You can't do that shit. We're not just gonna sit there and just so that everybody knows, being within one goal of a Stanley Cup and losing it on a shorthanded goal in a bad game isn't fucking good. That's like saying, oh, well, in 2015, we were within one game of the second round. Yeah, you got your asses kicked in Game 7. You didn't even show up against the Capitals. I had to turn that game off. It was so bad. So bad. Look, you don't have a long rope with Islander fans. You really fucking don't. You need to figure it out.
Yeah.
You don't have that much goodwill. Like, again, sitting there going, well, we lost on a shorthanded goal in Game 7 is not the thing you want us to remember. It was good when there was momentum and something positive going on with the team. When you're playing like shit, now we can go, well, it is the team that lost on a shorthanded goal in Game 7, right? We remember that? That all of a sudden turns into a negative. Real fucking easy.
Now listen. Somebody's got to be...
I just did a James Nichols rant.
You did, and that's fine. It's okay.
A lot of feelings.
You are feeling angry, and I
feeling my angry Islander fisherman feelings.
That's okay. There is another side to this, however, and there is the side to this where the fans can scream and cry and shout all they want
and put up a billboard.
They could do whatever they want. It doesn't.
Which is seriously the greatest thing ever.
It doesn't fucking matter. Doesn't matter because at the
I
end of
think
the
that's the
day,
hardest part. That's the hardest part to deal with.
at the end of the day, this is a business. This is a fully operational organization who doesn't give two shits about what John, not you, John, John R 2793 NYI fan 4695 doesn't care about that guy on Twitter.
69-420.
Right. Doesn't give a shit about that guy.
Hashtag nice.
They don't. They're an operation. They have their own way of business, their own way of doing things. There's a reason why they don't go on Twitter and say, what does this guy think we should do? Oh, trade for Johnny Gaudreau and sell everything? Got it. Doing it tomorrow. Are you happy now? There's a reason why these things don't happen. The moves that they make are calculated. So if you're screaming for a trade,
yeah,
listen, it's going to happen when they're ready.
Oh, they're calculated, Chara, and it sucks.
I get it. Listen,
that's the problem.
That was a calculated move. I tried to get into the mindset to understand that calculated move.
We all did.
It's a defensive system that doesn't. It's a defensive system that doesn't require a ton of speed, a ton of skill. He should be able to fit in. It hasn't fucking worked. We know that. Okay, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It hasn't worked. It was calculated. It was miscalculated. It happens. Okay, they have the business side of this doesn't give a shit about what Joe Schmo says on Twitter, so you can cry all you want. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. We've definitely ranted about this. I think it's perfectly fine to do. And maybe I'm just tired because we pretty much went on the same rant during the in-game broadcast, but it's exhausting. I think everyone feels this way right now. Yeah. It feels like a lost season already. We can't decide where this team is going to wind up going. The season just seems kind of lost and haywire and out of control. It doesn't help that kind of COVID is just making its way through the league, as we mentioned at the beginning of the second half of the show. And just something else here as we kind of wrap up is Canucks defenseman Tucker Poolman will not return to tonight's game. He was placed into NHL's COVID-19 protocol
mid-game.
That's like, all right, maybe we got to stop this.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I know it's going to screw up schedules and this, and I'm trying to go to a game next week. I got tickets. It's really tough. Like, I don't know how we continue any of this safely, because that's ultimately what it's about. Like, we keep talking about it's people and it's real, blah, blah, blah. You really need to consider that as the league needs to consider that going forward. They really didn't give a shit about that about the Islanders, but now this is beyond the New York Islanders. This is like
there was
the
a
entire
scheduled 3-week off period where everybody could just rest and recover.
I honestly, and I can't even remember if we talked about it earlier in this show, but like I have zero faith in the fact that that any NHL players are going to the Olympics at this point.
I don't think so.
Because I think the players are starting to understand that it sucks. Barzal had to spend 10 days in a Detroit hotel room.
Yeah, he can come home on Christmas. Good luck. He's likely there for more than 10 days.
Look. That's really, really, you're missing an entire huge thing here. Not only is it 5 weeks somewhere, it's not a Detroit hotel. It's who fucking knows in China, right? Who knows when you're coming home? Who knows what the tests are doing?
Yep.
You're not getting paid through that. A lot of stress. I really don't see not upset if any Islander players don't make the roster. That's perfectly fine with me. Do not need to deal with that extra stress on me, selfishly. But B, I don't think they want to deal with any of that. NHL players in general. So I think they might end up making this decision for the league, who isn't really excited about it, but for the first time ever are giving the players, keeping their word to the players, which is interesting. Hell of a thing to do that on, but they probably knew they didn't need to. They said, sure, you want to go to the Olympics? Do your thing. And the players are going to turn around and go, nope. And then the league gets what they want anyway. Perfect.
Right.
They win. But like you said, now there's this break. Maybe they can kind of piece this together a little bit. Not only kind of make up some time to make up some postponements that are occurring now, but give them a break then, in addition to making up some games, because this is getting out of hand. Like,
Yeah.
Barzell aside, right? Like, this is becoming actually things that are pretty unsafe
Yep. League wide.
league wide. So, any kind of closing thoughts here as we wrap it up?
This is this is a few games ago, but oh my god, Oliver Wahlstrom, I believe 2 games ago, received low time on ice, and it was a statistic, and of course me, just doing my job, reporting what I see. I'm going to tell you that yes, Oliver Wahlstrom only skated 9 minutes and 38 seconds tonight. We later found out that it was a miscalculation and it was 2 more minutes than that. Whatever. Trotz turned around and said, honestly, I thought that I played him more than that. He admitted it. And he even went on to say, if I didn't, that's on me. The amount of people that said to me, Barry Trotz has to have a personal issue with Oliver Wahlstrom. Yeah, you know what? You're probably right. You're probably right. The 50-year-old, matured Hall of Fame coach has a personal issue with 21-year-old Oliver Wahlstrom. He hates him. He goes home and tells his wife about how much he hates Oliver Wahlstrom. You're probably right about that. Can we seriously stop with the bullshit? When is the bullshit going to stop?
It's
Or
not
is
a
that-
personal vendetta against players.
No. According to Islanders Twitter, there is a personal vendetta. Barry Trotz hates Oliver Wahlstrom on the cover of the New York Post. Didn't you hear?
Yeah, I'm not. Some of this stuff goes a little too far.
Is this just going to be
I'm
for the
not-
rest of the season? Oh, the Islanders lost. Barry Trotz hates Kieffer Bellows because they lost. They lost. He hates Kieffer Bellows. Stop. Get some help. Thank you, Michael Jordan.
Yeah, it's amazing to kind of see where Islander fans' heads get taken when the team's not doing well. Especially for long stretches like this. Because it's been a really, like, you got to think this is like a long start to the season. Eventually, it's not the start of the season anymore. It just is the season.
Yeah.
It sounds like that would have been a really great transition for 'tis the season for Manscaped, and we could have just went right into it. But yeah, we are in the middle of the season now. Like we're getting there, and,
Yeah, and
they need to figure it out one way or another. And there's no personal vendettas. I don't think they're doing anything on purpose. I think there's just waning trust when the team isn't doing well. When it's like they lose a couple, or 3, maybe even 4 games, and then they bounce back, it's fine, right? Like they kind of refound their rhythm. But when you're like, all right, this isn't working, you're kind of going to continue to do the same thing. You're going to draw like just illogical conclusions.
Yeah.
I almost understand that because you're like, well, what could possibly be the issue? So it is very confusing. I can understand why fans are getting there, but like as you're typing it on Twitter, reread your stuff for like grammar or that it makes sense at all. But after that, reread it to be like, is that really what I think? Like, do I really think that he has that? I'd be willing to think no.
Right.
After you add that comma in there and type out the entire word "you." I know that's really hard. It's 2 extra keystrokes, real tough out there. But like, after all of that, really consider if what you're saying makes any sort of actual sense. Because that's a tough thing. You're just scrolling through people yelling into a void of #Isles in TweetDeck, and it's just a lot of nothing.
Right.
Not that I think I'm contributing anything major to it, but I usually just shut up about it because it doesn't matter. Because there's nothing.
Right.
Again, what am I adding to the conversation? It's really hard. Now, what I will say is, voice your frustration. Just make sure it makes some sort of sense.
Right.
Or something, preface it, because it's really hard to like have these conversations with people. There's plenty of really great people out there that we've had conversations with, but I don't know. It's just sports, I guess, where you're like yelling and screaming about this, but it's whatever.
Could be just a sport.
Yeah,
But
we're going in circles here. I think I'm wrapping it up.
yeah, that's fine. The one last thing I was gonna say is that understand that yes, this started as a fandom. Some of us have progressed past that a little bit. I now work for the fourth period, so I like to be as objective as possible, right? I'm not out here homering the Islanders. I'm just, like Elliot Friedman likes to say, telling you what I hear, not necessarily the truth. I don't think I have to tell you who my boss is, and I'm not saying he feeds me information, but we're a credible.
You're checking sources
We're a credible
against
source.
each other.
We're a credible source.
Right. You're finding things. You're checking it against
Right.
what other people know. I'm in some of those text chains, or I've seen it in
Sure.
live time, seeing what people are, and then things don't get tweeted. There's a lot more stuff that doesn't get tweeted because
Right.
it's not verified, at least as much as you can with the New York Islanders.
Right. So, you want to be angry about the Islanders, you want to scream, you want to shout, that's fine. I understand. Just, if anything, understand I'm not telling you guys anything just to give you something to scream about. I'm not just saying something for the sake of saying something. Telling you what I hear, not necessarily going to tell you the truth, not that it's a lie for me, just what I'm hearing. And that's it.
All right. So thank you to DraftKings and Manscaped. Make sure to use that THPN promo code with DraftKings and NHP20 with Manscaped. Thank you to the Hockey Podcast Network, Isles Fix, and of course, all of you, our listeners, and all those who joined our live broadcast tonight of the Detroit game. Especially if you did both. Really, really appreciate that. That's awesome. That's a lot of our voices to sit through. So we're very thankful. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to the show or watch the show. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at Nassauman Hockey. You can also join our Discord for a safe space to chat with fellow Islander fans. And you can find our work at Isles Fix. You can find James' work at the fourth period and my work at Hockey Writers. And until next time, everybody, let's go on.